And welcome back. You're listening to Subculture After Dark. Well, we've got a very special guest on the phone right now. Of course, as you know, there is an amazing tour coming up that the Ocean Collective are part of, and we thought we would actually get Robin from the band on the phone tonight to chat about this amazing tour that's coming up. Robin, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So, Robin, tell us a little bit about this tour. How excited are you being able to come on this tour with two amazing bands alongside you?
Yeah, we're very excited to finally get back to Australia. It's been 4 years. We've toured with Neo before, so we know what to expect. It's going to be awesome, and also very happy to finally meet the guys in Rivers of Nihil. I think it's a great package, and yeah, we're really, really stoked to be a part of that.
The three of you together are some of the biggest bands in that genre at the moment. Does it feel amazing when you all are able to tour together and perhaps play in front of people that love the genre but haven't discovered your music before?
Of course, that's why you go out on a support tour, to reach new crowds, of people that should be liking what you do but haven't discovered you yet. So yeah, of course, we're always excited about that. It's a tour with a bit of a different emphasis for us than what we do here in Europe. We're actually going out on a co-headline tour with This Will Destroy You here in Europe, so with a post-rock band. This Australia obviously is a heavy package, but that's great because that kind of like sums up the spectrum of what this band, The Ocean, is about. From being able to do tours like that are very very far on disparate ends of the musical spectrum somehow.
You, of course, were here for Progfest in 2019. How did you find your time in Australia? How did you find the fans, and what did you like to do away from the stage while you were here?
Not that much, because we were so fucking sleep deprived that we didn't have time for anything.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was always like super early morning flights and going to bed at 3 a.m. and then heading straight to the airport like an hour later. So we didn't really have any time to explore or do anything. But the shows were great. And generally, I don't know, the Australian rock scene is kind of different from the European in a good way. Like they accept us and they like us. Here in Europe, we're like kind of coming out of a different scene, like originally more like the experimental hardcore scene of the 90s, but then nowadays what's referred to as post-metal or post-rock. And in Australia, the prog scene is very broad and very open-minded, ranging from really heavy stuff to just like really technical melodic stuff. And yeah, they all really seem to like The Ocean, so that's great. Progfest was great. I'm sure this is going to be a really good tour for us, and we're looking at coming back next year to headline, actually. So we were already working on that when this offer came in now, and it was too nice of a prospect to go out with these bands to decline it, so we kind of like discarded our own headline tour for the moment, and we will pick that up next year.
That would be absolutely amazing. I would love to be at that. Now, you mentioned that the scene here is a little bit different. A lot of people talk about the fact that Aussie fans seem to go a little bit crazier at shows. Is that something that you found when you were here?
That depends on your standards of comparison. If they are Europe, then maybe you're right, or the States. If you compare with people in the east of Russia or in South America, then those guys will win the go apeshit party. So yep. It really depends on where you are. But generally, like the more peripheral places where not so many bands come on tour are the ones where you get the best shows, just because people are not so jaded. And so that's always what makes a big difference somehow. When you get to those really peripheral places, people usually tend to lose their shit in a good way.
Yeah. I just checked your tour schedule for this tour coming up. You actually get a day off this time between Brisbane and Sydney. So how do you think you might spend that day off?
Probably hanging out with good friends in Sydney, maybe heading to Bondi for a beach trip or something like that. I haven't really thought much about it, but it's actually super nice to have a day off in the middle of the tour. So I'm sure we'll find some nice things to do around Sydney. And looking forward to that.
You mentioned before about not being in Australia since 2019. Of course, there was a pandemic in the middle of that. What was that period like for you not being able to do shows, and what has it been like now that you're back out there doing shows again?
It's been challenging, of course, like for everyone. I think we made the best out of it that we could, really. We did 2 live streams of our past 2 records in mid-lockdown, which gave us a chance to get together to just break the monotony of lockdown, and rehearse and play music and do something useful and meaningful. So that was cool. And we also managed to write 2 new records. One of them is Holocene, which was just released in May. The second one we haven't started recording yet, but it was a very productive time actually in terms of writing music. And, obviously just being forced to sit at home made us focus on that. And I also run Pelagic Records, the label that releases The Ocean, and also a lot of other bands like Low from Sydney, for example, are one of them. And I had a lot more time to focus on the label because of the pandemic as well, because for once I wasn't distracted by constant touring and being on tour, but also because we had a massive boom. So while it was really shitty for the band, it was great for the label actually, because people started buying more vinyl than ever before. And I had the time to focus on building that and expanding the company and doing some things that otherwise I simply would have never had the time for if it wasn't for the pandemic. So I look at it both with a happy face and a sad face somehow. Actually, now that it's over, of course, the happy face wins.
Yeah, I won't keep you much longer, but I just had 2 quick questions. First of all, your set list, of course, because you haven't been to Australia since 2019, you've had 2 albums come out in that time. What can we expect from your set list this time around, especially with those 2 albums there that haven't been toured in Australia?
Well, we're still controversially debating it. I made a suggestion, but it was rejected by my bandmates, so I don't know, honestly. No, we're going to focus on, I think we're going to focus on Phanerozoic 2 mostly, which we haven't toured with in Australia yet. We have been over there with Phanerozoic 1, so we're not going to play many tracks off that record, maybe one of them. It's also like we're going to have like less than an hour set time, and our songs are pretty long, so it's a tough call to make when you have a catalog of 10 albums. We can't, even if we wanted to, we couldn't play songs of even half of our records. So the focus will be on Phanerozoic 2 and on Holocene, and we'll try to make it as varied as possible, but I think we're also focusing on a bit of a more heavy set list for this tour because of the context. It makes sense. So the next year we're back to headline. I think we're going to focus a little more on Holocene and some quieter tracks than on this tour.
Awesome. Well, to finish off the interview, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to go out and grab tickets to these amazing shows?
Don't miss it. Sydney tickets are selling very fast. I believe there's only a handful left over now, or maybe it's already sold out. I'm not sure. It's a great package, and I'm sure you won't regret it. So come out. We're looking forward to meet you all again. And like I said, this time and then next time we will be back with a longer set and a proper headline tour, already dropping the bomb there.